Odd. The sword's got an S insignia like mine on the hilt. Superman had a sword, and it was weird and tied to the Big Bang. And it nearly turned Superman into a god. You know you want to hear about it. Greetings, comic lovers, and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from reviews, comics new and old, to history to anecdotes, really wherever our whims take us. There are certain characters who are tied to certain items or weapons, like Thor and his hammer, Captain America and his shield, Batman and all of his bad things. Superman is not so much one of those characters. And if one were to think of Superman's things, sword is hardly the first thing that jumps to mind. However, in 1984, Superman had a sword. This in the tale The Day the Cheering Stopped, which was about many things, and one of them was that sword. I want to take a look at the story for a couple of reasons. One, because it makes a great segue. This video is brought to you by Kamikoto. Kamikoto makes great Japanese steel kitchen knives using traditional techniques. They're slick, they're sharp, they come with their own carrying case. They're in a heavy-duty ash box, so you can class up your kitchen, and they make a great gift for your loved ones or yourself. Love yourself. Always love yourself. Each knife is individually inspected and comes with a lifetime guarantee. These Japanese steel knives are used by Michelin star chefs all over the world, so you can roleplay that you're serving your own Michelin level food. Maybe you are, I don't know how well or not you can or can't cook. These knives date back to the Edo period in Japan, and only use steel sourced from mills in Japan. They're authentic and have a good grip, meaning that these knives have a long history, centuries of tradition, and now you can enjoy them in your own home. They feel good in your hand, and that matters. They have a wide range of products to choose from on their site, so you can find knives that best suit your needs or style. Or you can be like me and just use the knife that's closest to you. Kamikoto has several special offers going on right now, and is offering my viewers an extra $50 USD off any purchase with discount code CasuallyComics. On top of our special offers, you will have your own landing page at kamikoto.com/casuallycomics. So if you're interested, click the links, I'll have them down below. Now that you have a nicer blade than Superman potentially, the second reason I wanted to look at this annual was because a lot of the letters and what they said about it were completely different in terms of their conclusion than what I came to, so I wanted to share it and see how you feel. Let's experience it together. In 1984, this would still have been the time period where annuals were really trying to do something big, something different, something either big for the plot or some kind of character introspection. It was more than just an event that happened every year because it was an annual. For example, in the annual that follows after this one is For the Man Who Has Everything by Alan Moore, which is a much well-remembered story. Now as for Superman Annual number 10, it was written by Elliot S Maggin, with art by Kurt Swan, inks by Murphy Anderson, and colors by Gene D'Angelo. The cover features an angry-looking Superman holding a blade up to the sky, almost He-Man style, as the civilians behind him scatter as energy blazes in the background. It's well drawn, but nothing to write home about, really. The opening of the story sets the tone and largely establishes that this story feels quite lofty, like it has some grandiose things to say about Superman, the universe, and humans. It opens on the idea that Superman is adored the world over, watched by millions across the galaxies. For a mere 3 decades he has lived, but among the learned civilizations of the Milky Way, that has been enough time for the word to spread of the fall of the world of Krypton, the gift of the noble Jor-El, and the careful tutelage by a humble couple on Earth of a child who has grown to interstellar legend. Though even he cannot hear through the vacuum of space, somehow he knows that someone is watching and cheering. This story's gonna flirt with the idea that maybe Superman does what he does at least partially for the accolades, or that they are fueling him, that they give him the extra strength to go above and beyond, that he's encouraged by them, he's grown accustomed to them. Without them, how will he be? This is an interesting angle, but it's not one that's fully fleshed out. Occasionally, he has wondered why his name sounds the same in so many interplanetary languages. But there is a universe full of mysteries for Superman to wonder about, and he could have no idea that his name is older than he, older than Krypton, the world of his birth. Yeah, Superman. What a hard name to come up with across time. Older than life or thought, as old as creation, for once there was the void when chaos held sway, until there were spoken the magic words, let there be light. So this story is going the preordained Superman route, that Superman was just meant to be, that he is, basically. This is different than the Superman has resolved the right circumstances route that most other stories take. So at the Genesis, or Big Bang, the comic offers you those two options. The beginning of the universe, a sword is also formed out of the ether. It's forged of cosmic energy and bears the Superman logo, while I guess Superman bears the sword's logo. For it says that the sword was named before he, the Sword of Superman. Years later, when Clark is setting out to become Superboy, we have this exchange. Clark, I wove this S symbol from your baby blankets to stand for Superboy, but your father just made this other sketch this morning. Gee, what a weird symbol. I like this one, it's kind of spacey looking. How did Pa come up with it anyway? He says he saw it in a dream overnight and couldn't sleep afterward. The symbol came to stand for Superman as well. Yes, it came to him in a dream. The S's meant different things over time. Superman likes to monogram things, like many people. With the sword now established, it's time to hop to the present and the main plot, which we start off with Jimmy Olsen. He's off to interview a billionaire industrialist, Oswald Mandius. Ozymandias. Do you get it? It's an extremely on-the-nose name, as you'll see. Now, Jimmy isn't seen for 2 days after this interview, but for some reason, no one is concerned about it. Jimmy Olsen's just your average hotshot young reporter trying to bring home the big story whenever he gets a nibble. And 2 days later, when he hasn't turned back up at work, no one thinks much of it until... So he's a young hotshot reporter trying to get the deep scoops, and he vanishes and no one worries? Also, he's Superman's well-known friend. You should worry if he's gone for 5 minutes, yet alone 2 days. He's probably been transformed into a pebble on a beach somewhere. He's a werewolf again. A woo. Clark decides to look into it, and so he flies off as Superman. And as he does that, we see Lana Lang reporting on the shuttle launch of the Magellan, which is going to launch a mysterious new communication satellite from Mandius Industries. Sounds fine, glad that's aboard. I'm really comfortable with the fact that nobody seems to know what it does. Jimmy was doing this interview on Mandius' boat, and Superman learns that the boat never returned, so he goes out to find it. He sees Jimmy tied up on a boat with his X-ray vision and just Kool-Aid Mans it right through the side. He then throws the people guarding Jimmy into the sea.
So why don't you just blow off?
They said earlier that Mandius didn't do many interviews, and I can see why. Jimmy says he just apparently told him his plan, started ranting at him, and then tied him up. His plan to launch himself into space with his satellite for reasons. Because he's a billionaire industrialist, and that's just what you do. Are you truly rich unless you're trying to launch yourself into space? I don't think so. But Superman decides that he's going up because he's pieced together what he thinks that Mandius' plan is.
In order to make some sort of grand announcement about his television empire, to scoop his business rival Morgan Edge, no doubt. In the process, he kidnapped and held my friend against his will.
That's beyond eccentric. That's just unfocused villain behavior. Get a theme, it'll help Mandius. Superman says he doesn't want to disrupt the mission, but he ends up doing just that because, well, he has to talk to the astronauts, let them know why he's there and all that jazz. You know, hey, there's a mad billionaire in the cargo hold. Can I come in? He's in suspended animation, so we got time. Because it turns out that he can't just take Mandius' part away from the shuttle because that'll mess up all their calculations, so he's gonna have to wait until they launch it out. So he really does ask them if he can chill for a bit.
What have you guys got in the galley to eat?
You can't have their food, Superman, because they rationed it just for them. You fly back to Earth and get snacks for yourself. Also, yes, that is the cosmic sword. It's coming towards him after all these years. But also there's a malevolent energy on the way too.
Real orange juice, don't mind if I do.
Next scene. In no time at all, that is, in a mere 10 or 15,000 years, have the humans of little planet Earth moved from swinging through trees or starving on some rocky sun-drenched shore to piloting the space shuttle flying headlong into the latest in a long line of unknown frontiers that this stubborn, stiff-necked people have braved over and over again. Well, that was a tonal shift from the orange juice. Several more boxes of purple prose later, the beam arrives and it hits Superman, hits the ship, everybody in it. Superman says it was a nerve bolt, something that stimulated their nerve endings. But it's done something much more to Mandius, whose plan still confuses me. What is it exactly? Buy my tech, I'm a better mogul because I went to space? Morgan Edge doesn't broadcast live from space. Whatever his plan, Ozymandias is being possessed, and he awakens and manages to punch Superman away with telekinetic energy. Superman tries to save the shuttle, which has been pushed off course, but he's yanked back. But don't even worry about that because they're gonna save themselves. Superman, I must have words with you.
And I can hear him, even in airless space, I can hear him.
That's a very odd line because he was talking to those astronauts out in space. He heard them and they heard him back. So you don't get to try the whole no one can hear you scream in space bit when before that you were doing the suspend your disbelief sound in space. Can't do both at the same time, you gotta pick one. Anyway, Ozymandias has been possessed by Cosmos, King Cosmos, and the Cosmos with a K. He's someone Superman fought alongside Superwoman in DC Comics Presents Annual number 2 in 1983. So surprise sequel. Superman ended up casting him off to be lost in time. Cosmos was doing a lot of messing around, trying to change the time stream, you know, Lincoln assassination, all the usual spots that they go, the hot spots. So it's a good thing there was a man named Ozymandias looking to secure his legacy up in space for him to possess. Poem, or Sonnet Ozymandias, is all about the passage of time and the idea that all legacies are fated to fade to nothing. So you can see his naming is very apt. The story is very heavy on themes, and at times they override the actual narrative or substance. Now, Cosmandius does something to Superman when he touches him, and it alters his essence somehow. He did something, Superman screaming silently in space. And at the same time as a stunned Superman is plummeting to Earth, the cosmic sword falls into his hand. It is his own reawakening, star-born power that courses through the Man of Steel in that moment. Or is it the power of this artifact, born before even the stars were born? None can say. They really can't. Does the sword augment Superman, or does it just make him who he's meant to be? Is it just a nice sword? The thing is, when Superman returns to Earth, all the people are afraid of him, terrified, can't even look at him, have to run in the other direction. But Superman is wondering about the sword. It feels so good in his hand.
I'll leave it here in the storeroom while I figure out what's going on with Mandius or Cosmos or whoever he is. odd. The sword's got an S insignia like mine on the hilt.
Look at him, grabbing it by the blade, just using that invulnerability to the max. One scene later where he realizes that people are still afraid of him as Clark Kent, he goes back to get the sword and then it takes him to the library. Those panels sure filled some pages. Now you'll never guess, which books does the sword take him to see? King Arthur books, of course it does. Excalibur. They're there for some foreshadowing about how while Arthur plucked the sword from the stone, he still needed to earn the sword.
My problem is getting people not to run away long enough to show them I'm one of the good guys. This is feeling worse and worse, having people terrified of me like this.
They're just fleeing, screaming through the streets. You know, for a story called The Day the Cheering Stops, he's relatively unbothered by this. I guess for him this isn't the first time and it won't be the last. He's much more bothered when he sees Cosmos on TV and Manus' body talking about how there are aliens among them, alien threats. He needs to go to Congress and get special powers from all the governments so that they can unite. Superman goes there and bursts through the ceiling to stop this broadcast, and that just makes him look worse and it makes Mandius look better. It would have been cool to see what the people were seeing when they looked at Superman or learn what Cosmos had done to him. They kinda sorta explain it, but not really. But during this fight, Morgan Edge throws a briefcase at Superman, which prompts him to say,
"They want me to lose. They don't like me?"
oh, was the fleeing and screaming in terror not enough of a hint? This one has never known defeat, never been stung by the disappointment of those he has sworn to protect. Stop lying to me, narrator, that's just not true. And maybe the cheers of those he has protected from here to the furthest corners of the universe, maybe all that has spoiled him.
You people, you know me. I'm Superman, don't you remember?
The creature is awake and making horrible noises. So they can't understand him either? Cosmos does good work. Superman ends up fleeing to the moon with his sword to think.
I wanted a whole "you're my only friend now" sword scene where he's just caressing the blade. When I first woke up with this sword in my hand, I thought it was some gift from an alien friend or something. I just carried it around like a kid would carry a new toy, but I think I remember.
You know, Superman would know better at this point than to just be casually strolling with just random artifacts. Now Superman thinks that he remembers the sword, that he's heard of it before. The people reference the sword, not him, on some worlds when he saved them. So for the first time he scans the sword to see what it's made of. He discovers that's made from Big Bang energy and then decides he has a plan, but it involves self-hypnosis and confronting Cosmos at his meeting at the UN. Cosmos time. He bathes in the cheering of the men and women who populate the greatest deliberative body on Earth, cheering that he drew from the artificially remodeled consciousness of every intelligent being he has touched. Does that mean physically or mentally? Probably mentally, because he is some kind of telepath, but it also muddies the waters, because did he alter other people's perceptions or just Superman's? Or did he alter Superman's perception and then the people's as well? So Superman said they were afraid of Superman, then people said that they liked him. How much work has he done? Or did he just alter Superman's perception of himself? And because Superman is constantly hypnotizing the people around him in this time period, did that mean that now this projection of himself is being projected out to other people? He really was. That's how he maintained his secret identity. There was a whole issue explaining why he was able to be Clark Kent and Superman rather than just letting you suspend your disbelief or potentially think that people just didn't expect him to be and so let it lie. Instead, hypnosis. We did a whole video on it. It also had to do with his glasses. Deprived of the adulation of those he has helped and saved countless times, deprived of the power that approval gives him, Superman has, through his own ingenuity, armed himself with a new weapon. The weapon of auto-suggestion, super self-hypnosis. Although this is the reality of the Congress chamber in this moment, this is the scene that the Man of Steel has caused himself to see by manipulating his own mind. So he caused himself to see them cheering. Why? He doesn't really need to, and it doesn't impact anything whether they're cheering for him or not. He would be trying to avoid dealing with civilians anyway, or trying to avoid anybody getting hurt. In fact, if they're fleeing, it means there'll be less people in the room. This whole deprived of the power and adoration line would work better with another hero, not because people don't admire Superman, but because with his power set, whether they admire him or not, he can really do what he wants. And he's been presented before this, you know, minus Silver Age as we've gotten out of that into the Bronze Age, as a decent and grounded person. So one who is not that overly affected by either the admiration or the scorn because he's balanced. So the idea that he would be so thrown off by people being afraid of him that he would need to hypnotize himself to see them cheering is an interesting angle, and one that would potentially need a bit more love and effort thrown into it than just a couple of panels. Anyway, magic space sword, unmask him! And suddenly Cosmos is unmasked. The sword does something. Lots of things in the story do something. And the people start to recognize Superman. Some recognize that he was always Superman. They say, what have we done? And others are just like, hey, it's Superman. I wonder where he was. He's been gone for days. You cannot defeat me, Superman. This is how I configured this battle before you ever knew we would meet here. I cannot lose, therefore I must win.
Circular reasoning if ever I heard it.
I don't want to hear anything from you. You just self-hypnotize yourself to see people clapping. So he's fighting Cosmos when suddenly Cosmos and Mandius separate. There's not a clear reason as for why, it just happens, and suddenly there's just Mandius there. But it's not quite clear right away to Superman, and he's ready to kill him. Even though at this point, basically all Cosmos has done is troll him. He hasn't really done anything kill-worthy as of yet. The Superman's preparing for Man of Steel. He tells himself that he should kill for the safety of these people. This Superman who has sworn never to kill, but he does not, hoping that when the man awakens, the power of madness will have left him. And if it has not left the man, Superman does not know what he will do. I mean, the way he's holding that blade, I'm pretty sure he knows exactly what he's gonna do. You don't hold a blade like that unless you want to plunge it deep into something. I'm gonna die. Mandius says he just kidnapped Jimmy Olsen. That was wrong. He's sorry. He's rich. He would probably be able to get away with that. Jimmy, I'm so sorry. So many people have kidnapped Jimmy, but they didn't say they were sorry. Maybe give Superman some kind of artifact he could bribe Jimmy with.
By the blood of Krypton, I wish that I could banish such evil from this earth.
In the magic words, let there be light, spoken in the right place, and the right tongue was the universe created. And in a faint echo of that magic, in the city of Metropolis, a power begins to gather, drawing strength from primeval matter in the hand of a Superman. A Superman? Not the Superman? Stop it, I'm getting strange vibes now. So the sword starts transforming Superman into some kind of cosmic entity, breaking him into pieces, but he decides he doesn't want it. Rid the earth of evil? No, not if it means breaking into puzzle pieces. Not today. Even though it said that him and the sword were destined, allegedly, he rejects it. Forging his own legacy. Because this story kind of has an undercurrent going on about legacies. It never fully connects it, but it's meant to be there because there's so many threads about Ozymandias and the universe and existing before and existing after.
What happened? I took it back.
Took what?
I knew the whole history. I mean everything. The whole universe. I was starting to expand, spread over the winds themselves as a kind of all-seeing protector.
Ah, but you see, there was no chair. If there had been a chair, he wouldn't have been able to get out of it. Just ask Batman.
But I decided instead to take back my life and deal with the evil that falls across the vulnerable world in my own way for a while.
And he hurls the hilt of the sword into space. You could have kept that at the fortress, you know, for if you changed your mind about the evil. And then we cut to the future and one of the Guardians telling the story of the sword. What a letdown story for these kids. Once there was a magic sword forged at the very beginning of time, destined for Superman. Over eons it traveled the galaxy, luring pirates and treasurers, hunters, until finally it found its destination, found its user, and they were together. And then it was rejected and thrown back into space, broke in the end. There was a voice that came in words only Superman himself could hear. You have done well, my son. You have earned your name. Your future is your own to make. Your greatness among living things is assured. So shall it be. The implication of that is kind of horrifying because it almost implies that if the God being or whoever spoke to Superman in that moment hadn't said that his legacy would be intact, he might have considered becoming the all-seeing protector. It makes Superman come across as a little selfish, almost the idea like, oh, my legacy's secure, okay, then I'll just keep chugging away one crime at a time when I could have eliminated it all at once. It's introducing a bunch of moral quandaries that doesn't really want to address because its theme is legacy and we can't go outside of that. So once again, we're having those Ozymandias themes, but this time we're kind of flipping them on their head by saying Superman's legacy will endure, so he doesn't need to become a Star Child. And now the sword drifts endlessly, the end. This story, I had to think about it for quite a while. So after many read-throughs over time, in conclusion, there are several interesting ideas here. But what they come together to form is something pretty incomplete, pretentious, and full of purple prose. It's full of stories and themes that almost connect, but not quite. You have to forge the connections yourself. It's one of those works that makes great essay fodder. You could write an amazing essay about this with a thesis about all the themes, but then it would probably be more coherent and brought together than the original work you based it on. The Return of Cosmos is fine, and having him use the body of a man named Ozymandias is thematically sound, but Mandius' own goals are random, and he's really only there to facilitate this world-fearing Superman. Mandius is an example of a character who is theme over story. He needs to be Ozymandias because the theme is legacy. The story feels almost like the ending or the thesis came first and the story came after. This story also vacillates between wanting you to suspend your disbelief or think it's credible to either actual science or DC lore, so it comes across a bit muddled. The overarching cosmic Superman sword really doesn't add anything to the story overall of the Superman lore, nor does it add gravitas to Superman, since the sword existed before him and when he gets it, it doesn't really do anything. It's just a magic sword with his symbol, till it's suddenly turning him into a god and he says no thanks. The sword isn't even tied into the whole whole Superman spoiled because people like him theme, which is the one that the issue is named for, but the one that definitely takes a back seat to the others. The sword could have played into that though, with him missing the acclaim, and perhaps, let's go with it, come on, let's go on a journey. Perhaps the sword comes upon him in a moment of weakness, offering him that again, but as a god, and maybe he turns it down before people start recognizing him, potentially consigning himself to a life of isolation, but still determined to do the right thing and help people. That would have been pretty profound. Instead, we're just left with him refusing because he doesn't want to be all powerful, and also because the voice told him his legacy was secure, so it's fine. I don't think that latter read is intentional, but it definitely comes through if you put all of the things together. This whole story makes Superman feel more selfish and less selfless. The whole he needs to self-hypnotize himself so that people are cheering, or that he won't rid all the evil from the world, not because he thinks he can do a better job with how he's doing it, and the humanity of it, and the connecting of the people, or not wanting to become some kind of cold, all-seeing presence, but because his legacy is secure. Also, all of that's just dumped at the end. Cosmos, the villain, just vanishes. He's there one moment and not the next. Did Superman shake Mandius so hard he shook the possession out of him? People hiring exorcists, just get Superman, give him a good shake. The idea of Superman's legacy both existing before and after him is again interesting. The whole thing may have worked better if it was somebody telling a tale of Superman, because that could have gotten the idea across, because there's a bit of a distance to that concept of Superman as legend. There are some heavy 2001 Space Odyssey themes here, surrounding the nature of the universe, evolution, and the inevitability of it. Superman is even called a star child in this story, only at the end he rejects that status and decides to stay how he is. What stuck with me was that the letters they chose adored this tale and felt that it was full of depth and profundity, the height of art and sophistication. I felt as though I was going mad. Dear Julie and Bob, once again Elliot S Maggin showed his ability to add to the Superman legend and increase its universal appeal. The Day the Cheering Stopped showcased 3 great Superman talents: Elliot, the legend maker; Kurt Swan, Superman artist supreme; and Murphy Anderson, the incredible artist inker. Elliot has a distinct feel for the Superman legend. In Superman number 400, he showed us how the Man of Steel will be seen in the future, and now he shows us why Superman is known by that name throughout known space. Another great story. Dear Julie and company, what can I say? How can I say it? Once again, Elliot S Maggin has proven his mettle. He has demonstrated his own personal superpower. It is albeit a somewhat less physical manifest than those of the Man of Steel, but in my mind, and no doubt in the minds of countless others, he has performed one of the most rare and benevolent super feats of all. He has instilled in his readers the most magical of all experiences, a sense of wonder. By doing this, he has enabled us once more to see the truly super events which can and do take place right within every one of us. The very play of our own emotions, our own minds, the supreme magic of our very own consciousness. To Mr. Maggin, I can only say thank you. Was I going mad? Were they cherry-picked, or madness? Knowing me, it could be either. Personally, to me, this doesn't feel like the strongest annual for Superman. It kind of celebrates the concept of Superman in the abstract, but in the story itself, the character gets a bit buried beneath everything going on. Cosmos' jealousy of Superman isn't addressed either. That could have been a great parallel, the fact that he needs the cheers, but potentially Superman doesn't. That would have been a nice way to take it, the day the cheering stopped and Superman doesn't even mind. Because it's not about the adoration, it's about the people, because he's Superman. So I wanted to share this with you. Tell me your thoughts. What do you think? Is this a waste of a sword? A solid masterwork? Thematic brilliance? Meh, it's a story? Superman definitely high off the accolades? Tell me things down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks so much to Cami Koto for sponsoring this video, and I will see you again soon with more videos. Bye-bye.